People say I ain't no good, and I'm crazy as a loon. Cause I shave my head in the morning, pick guitar in the afternoon. Just like old Chief and Charlie, I like to lay around in the shade. Well, I ain't got no money, but you better believe I got it made. Cause I ain't asking nobody for nothing if I can't get it on my own. If you don't like the way I'm living, just leave this bald-headed country boy alone.
What's up, folks? Thank y'all for tuning to the Josh Perry podcast. I don't get amped up for a lot of episodes. I've got so used to this. We're at 500 something now, and I've talked to a lot of country artists. I've talked to comedians. I've talked to social media personalities. This show today, I am amped for because I'm fixing to get an inside look, and so are you guys, into a life in a world that none of us have any fucking idea about. And I could not be more excited. Shout out to my girl, Sarah Blake, for setting this up. By the way, y'all check her out on OnlyFans and all across all of her social media platforms. She is one of our babes. We love her to death, her and her family. She got me hooked up with Mr. Marston Hefner, Hugh Hefner's son. And I'm telling you, first off, it's eerie how much you look like your dad. And this is mind-blowing to me right now that I'm talking to you, dude.
I think I'm interested in like what you were talking about, where you're not excited about some guests, and it just feels like that's kind of the deal with anything you do a lot, is that sometimes it's just, and I'm always interested in knowing how to break out of that routine, but I'm like honored that you're excited to interview me, and I'd love to get into the nitty gritties and the itty bitties. So let's do it.
I'm so excited. Well, it's just like dealing with, you probably have a better insight to this than anybody, honestly. But when you deal with personalities day in and day out, you quickly learn who's full of shit, who's family, who's just an acquaintance, and who you just don't ever want to fucking talk to again. And it doesn't matter how cool somebody looks on social media or their social persona. Like, that's not the person that they are a lot of the times behind closed doors or in a phone call with somebody else. And I just get tired of dealing with fake ass people. And I'm real big to where, like, if I'm going to make it, and this is my career, that has been for a long time now, I'm going to do it with real people. And whether me and you agree on every single topic, or we don't, if you can show respect to each other and just see where somebody's coming from, that's how you have growth. That's how you find out who somebody real is. And I just get tired of dealing with it. And the stuff that she's told me about you and the stuff from your social media, I'm like, oh no, this dude's real. Like, he's putting him out there. And I appreciate that about you, dude. Cause I guess from somebody like where I'm from, I grew up poor ass white kid, South Georgia. Right. I have no idea how you were brought up. Realistically. Right. But I would think, in most cases, if I was to reach out to somebody that has like your upbringing, they'd be like, who the fuck are you? Why do you want me on your podcast? And you've been nothing but cool so far.
Yeah, man. I feel like you've taken like intention with you to be kind and genuine, and like you're set on that. And my grandmother is from Alabama. Okay. And so it's just, I really respect that in the face of like rude, fake people, that, you know, you're just interested in being successful with kindness. I think that's rare. There's a guy who's like fleeing his kid behind me, so I'm like also staring at that. I'm like, Sam, he wants to be in the podcast too, but
that's fine.
I just think that's dope. Like I view a lot of myself in that way, where it's like, I want to be successful on my terms in a way. I want to do it the right way. And I care about like honesty. I care about just unconventional. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, in my mind, if I don't make it my way, and doing things my way and doing things what I think is the right way, I'd rather not be successful.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah, I don't need anybody else holding my hand, telling me what to do, telling me what my morals are, or defining my morals for me. I'm gonna try to be a good person and treat people accordingly.
And what you're saying with like respectfully disagreeing, I'm really working on that,
Yeah.
man, because that's not easy. It's easy, I think, like on a podcast,
Yeah.
because like we both have an interest in being like cordial to each other. I think for me, it's harder with like friends or family when they know your trigger and you know their trigger and everybody. So I'm like, that's one of my things that I want to work on is like, this is your perspective. I don't agree. Being okay with that.
Well, I used to be
Harder than it sounds.
Yeah, it definitely is, man. I used to be so hot-headed though. I used to be so
Yeah.
hot-headed that I was quick to react.
Yeah.
And the older I get, I'm 36. The
Okay.
older I get, the more I realize that first initial reaction that you have most times is wrong. It might be your gut feeling or your gut reaction, but me showing anger or me being a dickhead, it's never got me anywhere. Me
Yeah.
being nice to someone and trying to see something from their point of view. I've got a lot of respect for people that disagree with me on the show or off the show. If you're just as passionate in your beliefs as I am about mine, to
Mhm.
where I can respect you coming at me the right way with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's right. It doesn't progress anything. It doesn't help the conversation. Yeah.
I always use the stupid analogy. You ever banged your toe on something and then showed your ass and end up hitting your elbow or your hand or whatever? Like you hurt yourself a little, and then because you didn't breathe for a second, you end up, oh goddamn, my toe, and throw your hands up and hit something else. Like
Yeah.
that's the same way it is with emotions. If you don't fucking sit there and take a deep breath before you react, you're probably going to make the situation worse.
Yeah. Yeah. Spot
Uh,
on.
but anyway, that's enough of my fucking beliefs. Everybody hears that shit all the time. Uh, dude, I don't I don't even know where to start with you because like I've got a trillion questions and I don't like interviews at all. I just like talking to folks.
I
So
know, me too. Well,
so
let's you're Southern, right?
yeah.
Yeah. I have like Southern roots, and I feel like that's where I detected like your hospitality,
Yeah.
your kindness. My grandmother was the same way, and I think I don't know, is that where you attribute kind of the hospitality, the
If you've probably heard this from the southern side of your family, but if you grew up in it, there's no other way to put it. But I still believe my grandmother, my ninny, would come down from heaven and beat my ass if I didn't act accordingly.
yeah,
And it's just like it is a southern thing. I tell my daughter all the time, she's about to be 13 in September. I say, Gracie, you don't have to be the smartest kid. You don't have to be the most talented. You ain't got to be the best looking, but you can have manners.
yeah,
And that's just the way you're raised down here is yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. And if somebody doesn't buy into manners, I really don't want to fuck with them. I mean, I
yeah,
don't know another way to talk to people.
yeah. There's people who are the kids now, they're just glued to their fucking phones.
Yeah,
But
dude.
let's get into it because I feel like
Well,
we have
speaking of
a
glued to your
burning question.
phone, speaking of glued to your
Yeah.
phone, your childhood, you definitely didn't have phones, but I don't even know how old you are.
Oh, no, man. I'm 33.
Okay.
My mom got like the very first fucking cell phone, and it was like the StarTech. Do you remember the StarTech cell phone?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was like one of the first cell phones ever. It's like this little flip phone, and it was like the future, and it just didn't fucking work. Like
Ah,
she
what?
just was trying to
So,
call people.
so did you grow up in the mansion?
Yeah, yeah. So I grew up at the mansion with my mom and dad, and then when I was in third grade, so I was like 9 or 10, they got separated.
Mm-hmm.
And then she moved next door with us, and they built a door because they shared the wall, and then we would just go back and forth, back and forth. But I would call my home with my mom for
Okay.
sure. And then the mansion was like a fun place to go.
Yeah, I bet it was, especially like, and what's crazy is like we'll have country artists on here that their dads were super famous. Like we've had George Jones's daughter and Johnny Paycheck's son and Keith Whitley's son on the show. And something that I've always found when people have famous parents is what we usually idolize and what we usually just think is the coolest shit from their parents is usually trauma and shit that they
Yeah.
had to grow up with. That it was so like what was like it
Yeah.
actually growing up for you in that environment?
I mean, just the fact that you have that insight, it's like trauma, okay, but also it was like fucking awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember as a kid, like I hated bedtimes because I'm a fucking night owl. I think you are too. I get
I
the
am.
feeling you're a night owl. Yeah,
Definitely am.
I don't know why you can just tell when somebody is, but I wanted to stay up until like 10 p.m. I remember one time I looked at the clock and I was like, it's 10:30. I can't believe I'm awake this late watching infomercials. It's the best night ever. And but I remember I tricked my brain into falling asleep because I wanted tomorrow to come. Like my days at a certain point in my life were so good that like I just wanted to like play the next day. And so I told myself, if I fall asleep now, I'll get to like fucking do the whole. I'll go to Toys R Us, or I'll run through the redwood forest that my dad had, or I'll play with my friends. So I think that's a sign that I was like really fucking happy. Then school came, and I have like ADD. Now I have like I take meds and stuff, uh, which helps me focus a lot. But when school came, that was trauma. Um, that was honestly like the hardest part of my
That
life was
couldn't be
like
easy though, transitioning from that lifestyle going into
it
schooling.
wasn't. It was it wasn't, man. I don't know. I didn't want to leave my mom. I didn't want to I just hated school. I couldn't sit down really. So it's like not really connected too much to the Playboy thing as much as it's like I couldn't sit down, I couldn't focus, and they fucking drill that into like immediately. And I was without my safety, my nanny or my mom or whatever it was, and it just I hated it. I hated school so much. But the trauma of like I don't know, man. I got an inheritance. I'm like
Yeah.
good, you know. I'm fucking blessed. I'm really blessed.
Well, as
And
much
I'm,
money as I've spent on pay-per-view movies and books from you guys, y'all should definitely sponsor the show at some point in time because I've got carpal tunnel just because of your family. So I'm
yeah,
just saying, I'm just saying.
yeah, but it's interesting. Where was I going with this? With the
Just the
trauma?
lifestyle and everything of growing up that way.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that because what it's like what you were saying with the social media people, and you get to meet them, and it's like your smile on your fucking Instagram is like not coming across when I talk to you in private, that kind
Yeah.
of shit.
Yeah.
Um, these like very successful celebrities are usually like awful people.
Well,
You know,
it's
they care about power. They have hierarchies in their system, and they have friends who are better on the hierarchy. It's all like about power, a lot of it, and dysfunctional
well, it's
families.
for me, so many people just kind of miss the fact that like when this becomes your job, and I would imagine the people that you are around dealt with it 1,000 times more than what I'm fixing to say. But it's just where like it's a false sense of reality. Like I have to get up and I have to do this shit every day to where if you're like, oh, this is hard on me, but somebody's out there working 40 hours a week for minimum wage. And you don't really realize what hard is until you get put in certain situations. And also the opposite side of that is though, like some of these actors and Playboy bunnies and folks that you had to be around growing up, they're probably man, having to fake that smile all the fucking time and act like you're okay. We talk about mental health a lot on the show. I'm a suicide survivor from 14 years ago. And
Yeah.
I try to tell folks all the time, it's all right not to be okay. You can talk about it. It's okay to open up and shit. And sadly, you've probably seen more folks than others that had to fake a smile day in and day out. And then you see them behind closed doors and you're like, oh, they're fucked up. Like they're not in a good place.
Yeah, spot on. I think the people who came before us, the generation before us, like they they controlled their own narrative. Like
Yeah.
the David Beckham created his own documentary series about how awesome David Beckham is. And I'm not saying he's not awesome. I just find it bizarre that people aren't okay with just like getting messy with their image because that's what real is.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's very much like old Hollywood were interested in like making them seem a certain way that just like isn't the case behind closed doors, really.
Absolutely not. What
Yeah.
Like you were talking about school a while ago, and this is just like one thing that just kind of hit my mind is what you probably was normalized to you, just like a normal upbringing. I bet all like the rest of the kids and everything just thought you were the coolest though, and not realize the
Yeah.
hard side of it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're talking about the hard side. It wasn't easy being undiagnosed with ADD, and yeah, that stuff that sucked. But
Well, I
I
was
don't know.
talking about more like,
Yeah.
and I'm just gonna assume here. So if I'm wrong,
Okay.
you obviously tell me if I'm fucking wrong, okay?
All right.
But like I would just think that you were around women 24 hours a day for the
Yeah.
majority of your life. And there were probably things that were normalized that you were around at a certain age, whether it was somebody topless, somebody doing a photo shoot, whatever, to where
Yeah.
like you don't realize till you get a little older, okay, this kind of had an effect on me. And I had to like
Mhm.
kind of normalize this to where when you went to school, that's probably the stuff that people would praise you for, or like be like, oh, he's got the fucking best life ever. But in reality, it was kind of like, damn, I had to go through this again today. Or was there any of
Um,
that?
no, there wasn't any of that. It wasn't like crazy orgies, and my parents raised me with sexuality is normal, nudity is normal. Um, and I still believe that.
Yeah.
So
Well, the reason I
it's kind
ask
of the
that,
certain
the
it's
reason I
kind of this
ask,
thing where, yeah,
go ahead.
no, it's all good.
That's what I hate about Zoom. Is as soon as I think you're done talking, my bad, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Um,
But that's the thing, like, and I'm sure you already know this, but everybody from the outside looking in at your childhood, growing up around that, it's probably either got one or two opinions of it. It's probably like, if you're a guy like me, South Georgia, just a fucking a pig. I am just a pig. I'm like, that dude had the fucking best upbringing ever. Like, I wish I could have done that. Or you probably got people that's like, yeah, that's not a place for a kid. We
yeah,
don't know what it was actually like, is what I'm getting at.
yeah,
We don't know what you were around. Like when you just said like orgies and stuff, of course, that's what we think because we don't know no fucking better.
yeah. Well, it was pretty standard. It was like a hotel in a way, more than a home. There were butlers, there were chefs, 24/7. And it was empty most of the time. I mean, and by empty, I mean my people lived there. My dad lived there, his girlfriends lived there. There were guests who stayed every now and then. But there wasn't a party every day. There were like set parties throughout the year. And that was fun as fuck. I mean, when I drank, I had a fucking blast. I was 21 and over, but I wasn't allowed to go to the parties when I was a kid. Um, and just the day-to-day stuff was like it would look like me going to the mansion and getting like a chili cheese dog and chili cheese fries, and I'd tell my friends, you can order whatever you want. And they're like, what do you mean? You can order whatever you want. and they'd say, okay, I want sushi. And I said, you can't order sushi. They don't have sushi. But like it was fucking fun, man. We would shoot airsoft guns on like 6 acres of property. It was fucking cool.
Yeah,
Where it was,
my fat ass is sitting here thinking like, you know what's cool? The naked women, but you know what's cooler? Going and order chili dogs any fucking time you want.
yeah, yeah, filet mignon. It was nice. Um, so and everybody's family is kind of fucked up in a way, so that we're not excused from that. But like in terms of just living there, it wasn't like anarchy or Dionysian orgies or anything like that. And then, yeah, like my view on sexuality is pretty liberal. Like I just think it's a normal part of human development, and yeah, I celebrate it. Obviously, I'm on OnlyFans and I'm on Fansly, and it's just a part of the thing.
Yeah, I grew up very conservative when it comes to that, but it's usually
Yeah,
the older I get, the more I realize like even the people that were conservative as I was growing up were still doing the same shit behind closed doors. They just wasn't
yeah,
fucking honest about it, you know? And like
yeah,
I just don't have a problem with people. One of the things that I push the most on this show, I'm a Christian. I'm not a very good Christian, but it's not anywhere in the Bible that I'm supposed to love one neighbor less than the other. And that it just breaks it down pretty easy. This says love thy neighbor. My neighbor
yeah,
could be having crazy orgies. The neighbor across the street could be living an alternative lifestyle. The one next to me could be conservative prudes, and I'm supposed to love them all exactly the same fucking way. And it just makes sense that that sexuality should not be something that is talked bad about anymore.
yeah.
Like
I
it's
feel like the damage you were mentioning, like that it would damage, or you're asking, did it damage me? I feel like more damage was done to me when I was like shamed for feeling a
yeah.
certain way. When I was saying, or when I was told like I shouldn't feel sexual, because I was like, when as a kid, you're just like,
How
I
could
want to
you
hump,
not?
I want to
Like,
hump whatever.
yeah.
But I've heard that from other kids too, and or from other people, and that was their experience. So for me, the damage was like you shouldn't feel a
Yeah.
certain way. Yeah,
Yeah. There's no way you are not like geared in a way to be overly sexual. There's just no
mm,
way. My ass. I'm telling you, I am the world's worst about it. I sexualize everything, whether I mean to or not. Like
yeah,
working with so many female artists, you learn that you got to be professional and you got to put some shit down, and you shouldn't say some stuff. But I didn't grow up the way you grew up. I imagine that my hormones and everything else with me would have made me fucking just be walking around air humping everything just from being in that environment. I don't know how you're not fucked up, to be honest with you. You're
uh,
normal. I
I
didn't know.
think it's good. I think sexuality is just good. That's
Yeah.
all. And I think you know, pretty much all kids are just hypersexual.
Yeah.
Was I more? I don't know. I'm not other kids, but I hear it from many people that they're just horn dogs at that age. So
Well,
yeah,
definitely. But if there's Playboy bunnies running around, I'm probably going to get in a lot of trouble for like
yeah,
just being a pervert. I know I would have.
yeah. No, I hear you. They weren't really just running around. They were like sunbathing and things.
But that's like you realize though, and I know you know this, but that's what everyone thinks.
Yeah,
That's what we don't
I
have a
didn't
good
know that.
insight.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. Well, yeah, people do think that it's like a constant party. I think you're
Yeah.
right. It
Well,
was not like that.
I think that what all of us imagine on a normal day there, no parties, no
Okay.
nothing but a normal day. I think that each one of the rooms, from the stuff that I've read or stuff we've seen or the stuff we've been told, there's a beautiful woman in each one of the rooms at throughout the day. And at any point in time, they're going to do a photo shoot. They're going to get in the pool, go to sunbathing or whatever. and it's just not that way for everybody else. So you automatically just think, there's more there. You think that there's, even on a casual day, there's some sort of, hey, we're sitting around having, mimosas and getting buzzed and stuff like that. But it sounds like a normal fucking upbringing.
Yeah. Like those attractive women, they were there, but they were also like veterinarian. They wanted to become veterinarians, so they wanted to. And so what I would do is I would sit at the dining room table, and there would be like some playmates doing the shoots there, and we would just like talk about our dreams and what we liked. One of them liked World of Warcraft. I liked World of Warcraft. So we talked about World of Warcraft. There's like a lot more conversations than sexual stuff.
So if you're 33, you would have been there in the like 90s as a child, and I guess growing up like early 2000s. Was it like, did you hear stories and stuff how it was wilder before you came along? Or has it just always been that way?
No, I've heard it was wilder in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
I heard the 70s and 80s popping off. So I have heard that, yes.
Well, I guess that's just what we all admit. I'm telling you, like it's funny to hear. Like, I guess it's kind of refreshing though, to know that what we've built up in our minds isn't actually what's happening all the time. So it's kind of refreshing to where, because like, I guess your dad to most of us is just like, I don't know. He's just like the GOAT. I don't know. Like he's got to be for any man that just loves women the way that most of us do. Like it doesn't get no cooler than your dad. And so like you automatically think like Hugh is just doing the deal all the time.
I just still feel like that, like towards Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
I love Tom Cruise. What is that dude's life really like? Like a day in the life of Tom. I don't know. I just still like to imagine Tom Cruise as being like this motherfucking badass. Yeah. He's always nice, always smiling, always happy, and he's just like the shit. Like I still have those dreams too. And it makes me feel good.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just like, I guess he's been passed a while now. I can't remember when your dad passed. What year was it?
Shit, man. It was like 4 years ago, I think.
Oh shit, I was thinking
2021. I'd say would be my guess. 2021.
Were y'all close?
Yeah, he was like an island man. Really? Was he close to really anybody? Not so close to everybody. People are not going to like me saying this, but that's the truth.
I could see that though. I mean, like I know for me, like when we do shows in public or whatever, it's hard for me to pay all my attention to one person because you want to make everybody happy. You want to give everybody a little piece of you. So there's a lot of people that are like, I don't really know Josh. I'm not real close with him, but I know he likes me.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of imagine he probably had to be like on a way bigger scale than my fat ass though.
I can see that. I can see that. Yeah.
What, so I don't even know anything about Playboy anymore. Like what happened after Hugh died?
So the company went public before he passed.
Yeah.
And he kind of lost the reins on it. He was like the editor. But they're doing like, I don't want to just shit on people, but I feel like that's kind of the spirit of this podcast a little bit, is just to shit on people sometimes.
You can shit on whoever you want on here. We don't care. As long as you're fine with it, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. It's run by a bunch of fucking like businessmen who like don't believe in the sexual movement. They just want a fucking dollar.
Yeah.
So they're doing like the trans shit. They're doing the woke lesbian shit. And it's comes off as totally inauthentic because it is. They're just fucking trying to figure out how do we appeal to millennials. That was like a big conversation throughout my fucking years of listening to that. How do we appeal? That's just what they care about. Okay, they care about woke stuff. We'll do woke stuff. It's like such bullshit, man. It's such
Well,
bullshit. So
well,
fuck those guys.
well, here's my thing. I get in a lot of trouble about this all the time, but you seem to be like a good person to have this conversation with. So fuck it. Why not?
Thanks. Let's do it.
Um, I don't believe in the woke shit because to me, there's a difference in equality and supremacy. And the second you're telling me that I have to celebrate you differently than I celebrate myself, that's you wanting to be superior to me. If
Yeah.
everybody just wanted to be treated equally, that's fine.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that are confusing supremacy and equality. And I just don't get why we have to pander to everyone. Like,
Yeah.
there's people that I don't care what your fucking sexuality is. I don't care. I don't care what you do behind closed doors or publicly. If it doesn't interfere with me, I don't give a fuck because it doesn't
Yeah.
interfere with me. The second you start,
That's what I was raised with, by the way.
yeah,
Like that was
I
like the
figured it
message
would be.
over and over again when people were like, I was asked in interviews all the time, like, don't you care that your dad has 7 girlfriends? And it was like ingrained in me. It's like whatever fucking people do, it's not hurting you. So
Yeah.
fuck off. You
Yeah,
know?
the only
Yeah.
time, like nowadays, though, they expect you to believe what they believe, and I think that's the
Yeah.
problem across the board. Is I'm not sitting here telling you that you have to go along with my beliefs. Like, why are you telling me? Why are you force feeding me this shit? And I don't want to be force fed this shit.
And that's a practice, man. Like I'm not good at that completely yet. But that's the goal in my head. It's like we all fucking love what we believe in and respect that. I think that's like a really beautiful ideal. Yeah.
Yeah, I just wish people would learn a simple truth, and that's how you treat me is how I'm going to treat you more than likely. If you tell me that I've got to go eat a sandwich and it's supposed to be a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, but I bite into it and it's obviously a shit sandwich, but then you keep telling me that it's peanut butter and jelly when I know it's not fucking peanut butter and jelly, I'm going to look at you like you're a fucking idiot. And I'm just going to put the sandwich down. I'm going to walk away and never fuck with you again. To where if you would have just told me in the first place, hey, this is what this is. Do you
Yeah.
want it or not? Like, most people obviously going to say no in that situation, but not there's too many people that talk at you nowadays and not talk with you. And a lot of these
Yeah.
big corporations, and I didn't know Playboy was doing that shit, but like, it's just like, why? And also, too, woke shit has a time, place, whatever. There are some things that need to change in our society. There are some things that need to be improved on. We shouldn't look down on people that have ulterior or alternative lifestyles than us. There's nothing fucking wrong with it.
Yeah.
But you can't, like, it's fucking Playboy. Why do you buy a
Yeah.
Playboy? Because you want to see women. You want to see that aspect of it. Why do you buy? I don't know. Is Playgirl even a thing? I've never picked up a Playgirl magazine.
No, I think it went out of business a while ago.
Well, I'll probably still use it as an example. But
Yeah.
if I pick up Playboy or Playgirl, it's because I want to see dick. It's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with the brand. Like, if the
Yeah.
brand is what the brand has always been, keep it the brand. If there's problems with them going against something, then yeah, have that talk. But there's no reason why you have to do this fucking inclusion with everything.
Yeah. I just don't like, I don't know, in my personal life, like when I'm doing my OnlyFans stuff, like recently I was making good money, but it doesn't feel like art and it doesn't feel like self-expression. And I'm just like taking a back seat. Like it doesn't fuel me. It doesn't do whatever it used to do. And I'm like, I just got to stop caring about money as much. And I'm lucky that I can do that. But it's like what with Playboy, you know, we were talking about like success on our terms, success on what we believe in. And it makes me upset. And I lowered what it really makes me feel, but it makes me upset to know that the company, which was founded by a guy who really believed in sexual freedom, and it's now being run for monetary reasons,
Yeah.
and that's it. That's yeah. There's no vision. There's no vision.
Well, when people only see dollar signs, I talk to artists about this all the time. You either have to believe in popularity or legacy. Like,
Yeah.
do you want to be the thing that's popular right now so you make $1, or do you want to have something that if you put it out tomorrow, people are still talking about, are just as passionate about 10 years from now. That's a legacy. Playboy and what your dad was doing from the time he started it, it was always fucking about, it was artistic. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, there were beautiful naked women in it, but there are pictures of Playboy, the covers that are all over the world, that are some of the most incredible pictures shot ever. What other magazine that was doing adult content can you say the same thing about?
And people might not know this, but they had Jack Kerouac, they had Hunter S. Thompson, they had Ray Bradbury, they had Joyce Carol Oates, and they had politics, and they had fucking. I remember I read an incredible article on intelligent design versus evolution.
Yeah.
Like it was cool shit in there. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't just, I think a lot of people probably get the wrong idea of that too, because it wasn't like it was a smut magazine.
Yeah.
Like there was actually opinions. There was real people.
Mhm.
I've always like, me and a buddy had a discussion the other day who's way more conservative than I am. He's probably a little too far right wing. If you hear this, you know the fuck I'm talking about. But he was like, you're gonna have this guy on your show. And I was like, absolutely. I have OnlyFans girls on the show all the time.
Mhm.
Not only does this dude have an OnlyFans, but he's fucking Hugh Hefner's son. He can give me an insight to a world that I never, ever would know anything about. And I was talking to them and I was like, look, you got to realize Playboy, the only case you would ever need to know that Playboy was different and artistic compared to any other magazine or anything like that. Think about the people that don't do adult content or pornography or whatever the fuck you want to call it, that have been in Playboy. Like the people who have graced the covers or other things that have been entertainers, that have been like it's a whole revolution, like a sexual revolution that magazine and that way of life put out into the world, to where all of a sudden, wasn't Dolly Parton on one of them? Like
Was Dolly Parton on in
wasn't Dolly?
Playboy?
Yeah, wasn't she on the cover of one?
She might have been on the cover. She wasn't nude. I
Yeah,
would have known
Dolly
that,
Parton,
but she
yeah.
she was probably on the cover. Yeah.
Yeah, Dolly Parton, Playboy. I'm not good at remembering shit. For some reason, I was thinking she was. Yeah, she was. Absolutely, she was. Yeah, you think
Was
about
she
some.
nude?
No. Let's look. I don't know if Dolly was nude.
I think I
Everybody
would
that
know.
listens to the show just Googled to see if she was nude. Um, I don't think so. But no, I don't, it
No.
doesn't look like she was. But I knew she was on a cover. But like somebody like her realized like this is something special.
Yeah.
And like why would we change that? Why would we take, or why would anybody want to put something down? There's tits and ass in it. Who cares? But there's other stuff that was part of it that made it like a culture phenomenon. That legacy
Well,
will last forever unless these new people fuck it up.
yeah. I think that's what. Well, there's no way to ruin. Well, yeah, the legacy. I guess it gets ruined at some point. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess what interests me is like the nudity, because whatever. Who cares? Bam, we're back.
Yeah. It wouldn't be my show. I already hit record, by the way. It wouldn't be my show if there wasn't some type of technical difficulty. But I don't know why the hell that just happened. Like I got the blue screen of death a while ago.
Oh, you got the blue screen?
Yeah, it was weird, dude.
Oh,
That's
that's
never
bad.
happened. That's never happened on my computer before.
Oh, the blue screen is like terminal, bro.
Yeah, that's probably not good. But anyway, we were talking about the legacy of Playboy and all that kind of stuff. So I don't even that's the last thing I clicked on right there to make sure it had saved any of it. I was about to be super pissed because I was like, if it didn't save any of that, I'm just gonna go jump off a roof real fast.
Oh my gosh.
But anyway, what do you do so what do you do these days anyway, besides for just like I guess OnlyFans and all that kind of stuff? We'll roll back into some more stuff with Playboy, but let's talk about some more shit with you first.
Sure. I just moved to a new apartment while my home is like renovated, and they have a cold plunge here, and it sucks. My body like hates it, and it thinks it's dying, and it doesn't understand what's going on, and I keep throwing my body into the cold plunge and then seeing what happens, and it's getting used to it now.
Do you
but
actually
it's,
feel better? Because I've never done the cold plunge.
yeah, it's wild. It's crazy. It feels so good. Like not during it, but I heard a stat that was like 2000% dopamine uptick after, and it lasts like several hours. Um, so it's like the bomb.com for mental health for sure.
Yeah. If it's good for your mental health, I definitely got to try it because I'm a crazy fuck as it is. And
Yeah.
yeah, I need anything and everything to help with mental health. I don't take prescription medication.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the way to go with mental health. I know some people have to have it, but
Yeah.
I'm one of those that would rather identify my triggers, stay away from my triggers, and deal with stuff like I guess my own way. That way you always
Yeah.
have a grip on it. But if it's good for
Yeah.
mental health, I need to fucking try it.
Yeah. And it's crazy, dude, because right when you put your body into it, it's just a crazy thing to do to yourself. It's like it's so upset. Your body hates it. And it's just a crazy fun thing. Yeah. I highly
So
recommend.
I'm gonna have to give it a try. So do you just because I guess because of your inheritance, do you just do OnlyFans and stuff like you, or do you actually like work?
That's my work is the
Okay.
only thing. But yeah, that because I got the inheritance, I'm fortunate I don't have to fucking have a boss. Yeah.
That's cool, dude. Do you got any brothers and sisters? I don't even know any about that.
Yeah. I have a brother and I have two brothers and one sister. Um, half brother, half sister, and full brother.
Okay.
Do you work? Is this
This
your
this is the only thing I do. I
okay?
host events and stuff. Like I'll go. We've got some concerts coming up over in Alabama, some in Atlanta, some in Nashville. That I'm the host or whatever you want to call it, the MC, talk shit to a big crowd, that type of stuff. But besides that, that's
Nice.
all I do.
Yeah. I mean, hell yeah, that's you're living the dream, man.
Well, it probably about the time I was 28, I started going through something to where it's like, I guess self discovery is probably the best way to put it. To where started reading different shit, watching different stuff, like really figuring out what made people happy because of mental health. And I just one day it clicked, man. It's like if we're not put here to work a 9 to 5, whether you're poor or rich. Like you're here, you got one life. This isn't a fucking dress rehearsal. You're supposed to make yourself happy. You gotta, you come in this world alone, you leave this world alone. That little dash in the middle is made for us to make the people that we love happy, but more importantly, ourselves. And that's when I started working in radio. I started working in social media. And I just like, man, I'd rather be poor the rest of my life and live check to check and actually be able to get up every day and know that what I was going to do that day, some way or another, was going to bring me some type of satisfaction or happiness instead of just
Yeah.
going to work at a fucking working for somebody who's probably ungrateful, who you are, where you can sub in and out with somebody else. If you leave, you're replaceable. I guess they don't care. The people that's way up top, they don't give a shit about us. So why not make yourself just as happy as possible?
I completely agree. And I'm sure that you've gotten like, what's your real job question
Oh,
a
all the
lot.
time, all the time,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah, that's a good one, right?
Yeah.
Why
Well,
don't
I
you
mean,
get, and then they sometimes people suggest things for you. They'll be
yeah,
like, oh, you do great with special needs kids, or
yeah,
you do great with, I could see you as a therapist. Why not a professor? Yeah, it's funny that way.
yeah. And I hate asking that for most people, but like in your case, you
Yeah,
just seem like you're real. Like you're, how'd I put this in a nice way? Because I would mean it in a non-nice way towards anybody else almost. But like you don't look like a lazy fuck. You like to actually do stuff, get out there, you like to complete tasks.
yeah,
You from just talking to you, I know, you're probably a goal-oriented person. You're not
yeah,
lazy. Like even the fact that this is probably the real reason why I asked that while ago. It when somebody says inheritance, you think, oh, they've got it made. Why do they need to do anything else? But then
yeah,
you're like, oh, I like doing OnlyFans. I like making that money. It's like, oh, okay. Well, if that's the case, this person's got drive to them. So I just kind of figured you'd have
yeah.
something else going on.
Yeah, no, I hear you. It is. So it's just such an interesting question, like drive and yeah, I do art like full time, and then I
Cool.
do OnlyFans for supplemental income. I've always had goals, right? But then like thinking of it as like a competition or something, I'm just trying to like get rid of that idea because it stresses me out. And I notice like when I feel stressed, then I don't like perform well.
Yeah.
But that's like in itself like a paradoxical goal thing, I guess. But yeah, it's just so interesting, this stuff. Um, and the way that like 9 to 5 people will try to judge for pursuing your passion. That's what I was thinking about with you, is that you're like in the top 1% or something because you're actually pursuing what you love.
Yeah.
And like most people, it's like, I don't know, the drive maybe isn't there, but I think they secretly really want to achieve something special, but actually executing it is, it's hard for a lot of people, I think.
Well, I think the fear of failure,
Yeah.
it keeps most people from trying anything.
Yes.
I think, but I think your fear of failure is supposed to be your drive.
Yeah.
I was a person for the longest time that I wouldn't want to do new things because it's like, what if I don't succeed at this? But
Yeah.
the paradox of that is, what if I do succeed at this? And like, if you don't try, you never know. And I know it around here. I come from a small community, dude. When people heard me on the radio for the first time after I had talked about wanting to do it for the longest time, there were people that still were like, "You're fucking crazy, dude. This is not gonna
Yeah,
amount
it
to
doesn't matter.
nothing. Go back to fucking work." Like,
Yeah.
all that type of shit. But the thing is like, what I'm gonna leave my daughter whenever I'm gone isn't, I hope it's a lot of money because that means my fat ass made a lot of money in this lifetime. But
Yeah.
more importantly, I want to leave her the feeling that it's okay to pursue what you want in life, whether anybody thinks you're crazy or not. I literally get called it every single day, but then those same people want to buy ad spots on my show. Those same people are the ones that message me wanting concert tickets. The same people are like, "Hey, you think you can get somebody down here at the football stadium sing the national anthem?" And it's like, "Oh, you think I'm crazy, but you want the benefits to me being crazy."
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where there's just not enough people around here that realize there's life outside of the ordinary.
Yeah.
I believe in living in
It's
uncomfortable.
fun. It's fun being outside of the ordinary.
Yeah, dude.
Right. Yeah.
Like
It's yeah.
I just think that from birth, especially here, you're told, "Hey, you graduate high school, you marry your high school sweetheart, you go to college and get a job to work in the same community that you lived in your whole life." My mother and father, I would almost bet you, especially my mother. My dad's traveled a little. My mom has probably not been out of a 5 county area in 30 to probably 30 years, 20, 30 years. Like, and it's just like, do people here, and I've got buddies that I went to high school with that I don't know if they've ever left the county, dude.
Yeah.
And it's just like, do you not realize that this isn't the only life that's available to you? And
Yeah.
people give me shit all the time. They're like, "Oh, you've got the money to travel and all this kind of shit. That's why you're always going and seeing new places." It's like, no, no, no. I promise you, I'm in debt up to my fucking eyelids. But I would rather die with debt and memories than to just sit here and fucking have a savings account, man.
I hear you. I think that a lot of my stress has come from like with OnlyFans, for example. I was like producing a certain amount and I was doing certain content. And then like the passion left. I was like, okay, if I'm afraid to fail
Yeah.
because I'm afraid that if I do something that interests me or is like more low grade homemade stuff, which I would watch anyways. That's what I like watching when I watch porn.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid that the market's not going to be there. I'm afraid to fail. And then my enthusiasm's terrified. And all of a sudden I feel like I'm a slave to doing the formula because the formula worked in the past. It's like, yeah, the being okay with failing and like being excited by just fucking up and making a mess, like that's what interests me.
Yeah. I think if you want like a good way, because I like to simplify everything in my life. Ever since I started trying to make stuff actually black and white,
Yeah.
and it's my life has just became so much easier to reason stuff out. I, your dad probably was one of the pioneers for what I'm about to say, because you didn't have social media back then when you would try new things. You just would go off of a leap of faith. And it probably for him, 9 times out of 10, it would always work with trying something new in the magazine or whatever. You don't really know if anything's going to succeed until you actually do it. And that fear has kept so many people from succeeding. More than likely, if you like something, it's gonna do well because people are gonna resonate with you. They're gonna like you. They're gonna want to know. They're gonna want to do or see what you like, right? The
Mhm.
problem with the day and age we live in now is everything's a fucking number, a like system. It's
Yeah.
so whatever. So sometimes we post shit that we put our heart and soul into, and there's 100 people that like a post to where you've got so many people following, and you're like, what the fuck? And then that makes you feel like, oh, damn, this is worthless. But what if
Yeah.
one of those likes, just one of those people that identified with it, that's what they needed that day? What if that's what they really lusted or loved? Like that's what they were longing for. And I
Hmm.
think back in the day before we had likes and comments and shares and all that bullshit, I think that's you just had to go off of a leap of faith, and you just had to look at something and say, I really like this. I'm going to share it with the world, however I share it with the world. And I think when most people do that, you get a good return. Or at least it might not be the return you want, but in that return, I think you'll find the passion that you're looking for that you're lost. All right. I think you
Yeah.
find the response that you want.
Yeah. I agree. I think a lot of it is just fear
Yeah.
and like being afraid to fail and being okay with it. And then for me, that's like the motivation. Um, and I hear you what you're saying with like it really resonates with 20% of your audience instead of 50%. But
Yeah.
like those 20% really wanted to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever heard the old saying? I can't remember how exactly it goes, but it's talking about dogs, and it's talking about that dog. You love that dog for some of your life, but it loved you for all of its.
Wow.
And
That's
that's how
part of,
you got to view like the people that follow you and the things that you post and the things you put out into the world is, yeah, it might not have been something to a lot of people, but it was everything to others.
yeah. Yeah. And that's how you become a cult icon. That's how you become avant-garde artist, or that's how you have a really do something very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting people do that. And it's hard to let go of the external, hard to let go of that 100% like. But I think it's very important for an artist and for the message and for nuance or whatever. It's important, really
Yeah.
important what you're saying.
Well,
Yeah.
one thing that probably will resonate with you for a little bit. I tell a lot of the artists that we work with or write with that are musicians or whatever that they have to take into account. I don't know if you like country music or not. I don't know if you're familiar with the genre too much or anything, or
I
if
love
you,
country. I don't know shit
okay.
about it. I just
Well,
like
do
listening.
you know who Chris Stapleton is?
No, sir.
Okay. Chris Stapleton is a guy he's just amazing. He's at the top of most of the charts. He's been that way for the past 10 years, but it took him 20 years to get acknowledged before he was crowned the great. Like he's one of the best of all time, but for 20 years he was in Nashville busting his ass writing songs for other people, got no acknowledgement until he finally did. And I
Mhm.
tell a bunch of the artists that we work with, it's like, look, if you idolize Chris Stapleton, then you have to think about, well, if it took him 20 years, how long is it going to take me for me to get my due? And
Mhm.
the same thing with you, an artist and everything else that you do. It's You know, you're probably in a shadow more than you like to be because of your father and because of Playboy and everything. You probably feel like, hey, I want to be known for me more than
Mhm.
anything else. And it's like, well, in your case, how long did it take for your dad to get acknowledgement?
Really quick.
Yeah. Oh, well, I guess it don't count when you got Playboy, but that's a horrible example. But there's probably some people that you
Louis
look up.
C.K. Louis
Yeah,
C.K. It took
I
him
like
25
Louis.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, damn, if I idolize these people, then I've
Mhm.
got to put myself in their shoes. If it took them that long, I'm going to get my day. And if
Yeah.
you have that mentality instead of, God damn it, it's another day's gone by and I still ain't fucking nothing.
Mhm.
Yeah, it'll beat you down. It'll tear you the fuck apart. It's all about perceptive or perception. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, you have a
Hmm.
good perception on everything. You, I know it's as corny as it fucking sounds. If you remain positive in negative situations, positive shit happens. If you're negative in negative situations, it's going to remain negative.
Yeah, the downward spiral or the
Yeah,
upward spiral.
yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Well, so what's like some of the stuff that you want to do? Like what's some shit that you dream about that's outside of the box that you've probably been put in most of your life?
I just like fucking writing. I like art.
Yeah.
I like I like creating world. I think I'm pretty good at it. So what's nice about doing this social media stuff is it sells books a little bit. It sells books actually. Whereas before when I wasn't on social media, it sold nothing. But I just
What do you
I think
write? Like,
I'm
what's some of the stuff that you like writing?
I've written in experimental fiction, uh, short book of short stories, and then right now I'm working on um, kind of like uh, a video. I don't think it's like a video game now, but it's like a choose your own adventure high fantasy book. So
Okay.
like I'm learning coding, and you start out in this world, and you can go wherever you want in the story, and yeah, yeah, I don't know how to sell it really. It's just it's like a high fantasy adventure manga comic book Lord of the Rings sort of thing. And if you guys like this this podcast, if you could check out some of my writing or buy the book, that would I would do a great deal for me because that's like what my raison d'etre, it's like my reason for living, you know.
That's cool, dude. See, I love it when people can actually do the things they're passionate about.
Yeah.
I get just makes your life so much better when you
Yeah.
actually get to take the time to put your art into the world, regardless of what your art is.
Yeah. And the kind of space that's needed for art is like for me, I need like a really relaxed, like kind of putter around, kind of touch things in the room, drink my coffee, and then okay, I'll sit down and I'm ready. I just like that feeling, the slowness of it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with taking your time with something like that, dude. And like
Hmm.
actually diving into it, letting it engulf you. That's
Yeah.
that's what it's like writing a song. Like if you write
Hmm.
something good, you're engulfed by it. And
Hmm.
there's no better feeling in it. Even at the end of it, if it doesn't turn out to be exactly what you want it to be, there's some type of satisfaction you get by doing it your way.
Yeah. And I was thinking about that, like the process being the beautiful part. Like maybe I'm in the beautiful part right now,
Yeah.
where it's like nobody's listening to my shit. A few people are listening to my shit. And it's like, but there's just something about being free, being able to do whatever I want. It's, I just like, I just, and also improving at my craft. Like, I don't know. I think David Foster Wallace said it really well. He's like a writer that I really admire. Where like when you look, he said like there's this kid, this tennis kid, and he was looking at all these magazines. He was obsessed with these tennis pros, and he was looking at them. And the guy in his book said like there's no opposite feeling to envy. Like what you're feeling, that envy that you want to achieve, like when you're them, there's no there's no other side to it.
Mm-mm.
I mean, that's like a wild idea. And then it's
Yeah.
kind of sets you free in the moment. And I just love that idea. I love
Well,
that book, Infinite Jest.
I like the concept of enjoying the journey because
Yeah,
once you get to the destination, it's over. Like
yeah,
that's kind of how I view everything that I do. It's like I have to appreciate the ride because once we get to where we're going, what the fuck am I supposed to do then? Is the ride over? Like, do I got to start over and get on a new fucking ride? No, like you need to appreciate the journey. You need to appreciate the process because there's nothing on the other side of it before besides a restart. And
yeah,
it's like I don't want to start all the fucking way over. I want to just enjoy this while I can.
yeah. I hear that, man. There's something also nice about like internally seeing yourself improve,
Yeah,
like just seeing like I like this more than I did 3 months ago.
yeah.
I like
Well,
that feeling too.
well, growth, like knowing that
Mm.
there's one thing that you can sit here and tell the whole fucking world, I'm not the person I was 2 years ago. I'm not the person I was 10 years ago. But knowing you're not the person that you were just a couple days ago, a couple months ago, and that you actually know it, that you're not just saying it, man,
Yeah,
there's something special about that, dude.
that's wild. That's wild. I think I'm a worse person now than I was like a month ago. That's
Why do you think?
bad.
Why do you think you're a worse person?
And I just went through this moving process and it fucking stressed me the F out. And like if I'm just like looking back on a week ago, I just gotta calm that fuck down. Moving
Moving does
sucks,
that to
bro.
every fucking person.
Moving sucks.
Everybody on there's nothing fucking worse than moving, dude.
But no, that's a cool idea that yeah.
So what do I'm not too
Have you
familiar
ever
with
done
it.
shrooms, by the
Oh,
way?
I do. I fucking love microdosing.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you?
I've never I'm a father now, so I don't have really the time.
Okay.
I
Well,
need a day, bro.
yeah. So
You
I
know?
would I will tell you this, especially if you are like a big mental health advocate.
Yeah.
Microdosing has changed my life in the past 2 years. My anxiety is lower than I ever have felt it in my life. My depressions spells, I'm a manic depressant, is at lower than it's ever been. My reasoning is the biggest thing. So like doing microdosing, if you wanted to picture your brain as a windshield and you got just fucking dead bugs, just trash, pollen, everything all over your windshield. That's your brain and every traumatic experience, everything you've been through in life. And some things you can grip, some things you can come to terms with without it. Microdosing, though, starts wiping away
Yeah.
and you start coming to terms with stuff that you like without even doing it. So like
Yeah.
two years ago, we had this the first time I had done a microdose. We had a our 2 year celebration at our studio and I had a band in the studio. We were having a great time, all this kind of stuff. And I had been wanting to do it. I felt like I was in a safe place with a lot of friends that if I had a bad whatever. Well, the truth is with microdosing, you don't trip. Like it is so healthy for you. But yeah, I did it. And about halfway through the night, I went and sat in my truck and I turned the radio on, and I did not know why I was wanting to get out of the party. I didn't understand that because I've always been wanted to be the center of attention. I always want to be the loudest person in the room. I always wanted to be seen, but that was part of like the facade. That was the outer
Yeah.
looking in.
Wow.
So
Wow.
like
Wow. Wow. Wow.
I went and sat in my truck and I turned on what I wanted to listen to instead of what the band was playing. And I sat there for about 30 minutes and I had the realization that I don't have to be part of the party anymore, that I can do my own thing and I can be happy. And the people that love me and care about me, they're not here for the party, they're here for me. So if you use that logic, I can be sober, I can be doing whatever, and these same people should still support me. If they only want me because I'm drunk and showing my ass and being loud and obnoxious, do you really want that person as a friend? And it hits you like a ton of bricks. when you have it. And by the way, microdosing and tripping, completely different things. Microdose is the healthy version. There's a documentary on Netflix you need to watch. It's called How to Change Your Mind. And it
Mhm.
goes over everything I'm talking about, what you actually see and feel and all this shit.
Yeah.
And man, it just makes you realize like I'm geared this way because of the shit that's happened to me, but that's not necessarily me. I'm letting everything else in my life affect who I am and who I want to be. Why
Yeah.
can't I just be who the fuck I want to be? And I'm
Yeah.
telling you, like when
That's a
it,
powerful shit.
dude, it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's
That's
crazy.
powerful, man. I got to get on that.
Yeah.
I got to do it.
And it's so healthy. Like
Yeah.
you can fully function on a microdose. See, the problem with shrooms is
I just
everybody,
want time to process shit. Like I want like
yeah,
a room of my own to like really just, like you had your car. I
yeah.
need something like that, like a place to meditate on it.
There's a thing, dude. It's called a psilocybin trip, and it is the next thing that I'm doing. They talk about it in the documentary I was telling you about. But they took a woman who was 78 years old that was diagnosed with cancer. They took somebody that had a compulsive whatever disorder, OCD or whatever. Uh, and they took another guy. I can't remember what it was, but they all gave them a psilocybin trip. The woman who had cancer that was 78 years old, she says afterwards, and it's so fucking cool to hear her say this, that she realized that it wasn't the cancer that was killing her, that she had lived a very long, happy life. She was depressed, and the depression was killing her because the thought of her leaving her family behind was what was eating her alive. The cancer was going to
Yeah.
take her life eventually, but she still had life to live. And the psilocybin trip made her come to terms with it to where in
Mhm.
the last couple of years of her life, she just loved her children and was happy. And it's great to hear her talk about it. And then the guy with the OCD, he did it. And he tells this beautiful story about his newborn kid and how he used to have to go into their room 30 times a night to check on and see if the kid was fine and all this kind of stuff. And it got to the point to where he was driving himself crazy worrying about that
Yeah.
child. And after he did the psilocybin trip, he just knew like my child's gonna be fine. I don't need to worry about my child or anything else. I don't need to be just crazy about it. I just need to live. And hearing these people talk about it made me be like, okay, I'm fucking doing this next. Like that's not a
Mhm.
microdose. But they also talked about in the documentary how back in the 50s that microdosing was the next huge thing. But because me and you can grow it in our backyards the same way with cannabis and weed and all that shit, they got outlawed. Big pharma and
Yeah.
everything else was like, no, this is a natural thing that everybody can grow. We're never going to make money off of this shit. So let's tell
Yeah.
everybody how bad it is. And
It's
then,
true.
yeah, and then
It's
grow.
true. Like,
I'm a big conspiracy theory nut, though.
I don't think, yeah, I don't know if I think it makes sense because like ketamine therapy. Have you heard about that?
One of my best friends does it at the VA in Kentucky where
Yeah.
he lives, and it has completely changed his life.
Yeah, and it's six sessions as opposed to like Prozac or
Yeah.
which is your whole life. So you just see kind of we're talking about money. The money's
Yeah.
not in ketamine therapy and the money's not in shrooms.
Yeah. There's not enough people that realize doctors and pharmaceutical companies they're trying to create a patient for life so they make money. They're not trying to cure you. And there's
Mhm.
a lot of things, whether you believe in God or whether you believe in the universe, you're spiritual, whatever the fuck anybody is, I don't care. There's things that were put here that we got by for millions of years without ever having to take a pill.
Yeah,
And if we go back to the natural state of things, we'll be way better off. I say that as I take fucking 30
I know.
milligram Adderall every day because I'm so fucking ADHD. It's not funny. But besides for that, yeah.
Yeah, there's no syphilis. There's no, I mean, we have some good stuff now,
Yeah, yeah.
but my intuitions are with you, which is like, we got to go back somehow because this shit, kind of sucks. It's not as slow. I just need a slower pace on this shit, I think.
Well, it's just like this, dude. And I get pissy when I talk about this stuff or talk about this subject with people because they're so ignorant. But like, if people don't think there's a cure for cancer, that there's a cure for every single thing out there, and we're just not being given it because one, it's population control, but two, like, man, I don't know how to put it. We live in a fucked up world, and like I said, a conspiracy theory nut. And I do believe there's 100, 200 people that run this whole fucking world that literally have their hands over every little decision that's made and all this kind of shit. There's too many coincidences across the board in too many different countries to where, you know
Okay.
what, it would make sense that if it
Why
was
are you saying this? Because we need to become one of them to infiltrate. And now that you said it, we have 0%. They're never gonna let us in.
boss, you had a way better chance to getting in that club than I do, so fuck them. I'm not the one they let in that bitch. I promise you.
Oh God, you're indicting me now.
Yeah, I mean, shit. If you was gonna be in it, you might have already been in it, and I just
Yeah.
would have shot myself in the foot.
Yeah. Well, now you're not allowed in.
Yeah, it'd be okay. I don't think I'd get along with them. No way. I've already believe in aliens and believe in how conspiracies out the ass about how corrupt everything is. Like, I'm not the
I
guy
know.
they don't want me to know the secrets because I will tell
I have a
everybody.
question for you.
Yeah,
You've been around a lot of kind of movers and shakers.
yeah.
Are they happy?
Ooh,
Like the people who care about like, I'm gonna do A to get to B, and I don't care about like my well-being or other
I
people's well-being. Are they happy or
I
what
don't
are
think
they?
I don't think so. Uh,
Yeah.
I try to give this little scenario to everybody. Do you know who Morgan Wallen is?
Mhm.
Okay. Morgan Wallen's huge country star. He's younger. Uh, about 2 years ago, I was in the same room as him. There's a late night bar in Nashville called Red Door. And this
Mhm.
guy, I'm talking about, if there's a number one for the past 2 or 3 years, it's this guy. He's got everybody in the world in country music loves him, adores him, all this shit, selling out huge stadiums. And he's younger. He's probably mid 20s to late 20s, but he was in this bar. He couldn't drink. He had 10 people around him that you could tell like these were his handlers telling him what to do, that he was a walking ATM to them. Uh, and like it's just if that's what success means, that like you can't be happy, I don't want it. But you look at it from the other perspective, is like, damn, this guy should be the happiest person in this bar. This guy should be just ecstatic. I think between stuff like that and the stress of staying on top and
Yeah.
the stress from having to constantly create, I imagine most of them aren't. I think the people that it comes naturally to, that does it their way, I think they're
Yeah.
happy.
Me too. I think that's spot on. Spot on, dude. And it takes longer.
Yeah.
Takes longer, but I think you're right. You can tell they're just kind of chill or they're happy.
Yeah.
They're more genuine.
Yeah. I said it not long ago, but like it might take longer getting to where you want to be doing it the right way and doing it your way instead of stepping on whoever you got to, throwing whoever under the bus, or doing shit you don't want to do.
Yeah.
But I think it's harder falling off too once you get there because you're loved and you're appreciated for yourself. The easiest thing should be every morning for me and you and anybody else to wake up and just be ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
think those are the
true.
happy people.
So true, man. Because some people double down on like a fake persona, so they have to wake up that way.
Yeah, dude.
And then they meet somebody at the door. They gotta like change their shit around a little bit.
With me, it's crazy because a lot of people, like, I've met so many people that have worked in social media, that have been big on social media, that you're like, oh, I can't wait to be around this person because they're going to be cool as hell because you think that's them. And you get there and it's not. Like for me, I'm me all the time. When certain
Yeah.
times I'm turned up to fucking 10. Like if there's a mic in front of me, if I'm on stage, I'm turned up to 10. But for the majority of the time, I'm a 7 or 8 anyway. Like it's that's me. And some of these people are a 10 when you see them on camera, but their real life they're a 1. And that's gotta be exhausting. And they just never look happy, man. They always like off camera, they're sluggish and they're just like, oh, what's fucking next? To where me, you find me in a fucking hole in the wall bar, I'm probably smiling just as big as am sitting here talking to you now.
Hole in the wall bar sounds fun too. It's a
Yeah.
fucking movie right there.
Yeah, dude. Well, hey, we'll fucking write it. Let's me. I write. We can write something together. We'll write a fucking screenplay, and
All right.
we'll get those assholes that run that company now to fund it somehow. We'll trick them. We'll
Yeah,
tell
we'll
them we'll
trick.
put a transgender star in it or something, and then take it back at the very end.
Yeah.
This a
Yeah,
woke
that'd be
movie. This a woke movie for conservatives. That's what we'll make.
okay. I'm down.
I would see stuff like that, and I get people wanting to buy the show all the time because I'm an independent show. We have a management company, but like I'm scared that if I ever sell out, and trust me, I'd love the money. I've been poor my whole life. I know how to be poor. I don't know how to fucking have money. I wouldn't know how to act probably, but
If you want help with just basic money finance, I'm down. If you ever
oh,
want.
dude, hey, I promise you, this right here, you throw anything over here, I'll fucking catch. But
Okay.
like, I don't ever want to. I want to do this show my way. One of my favorite shows I've ever had is a guy where I'm from that has no social media, but he's
Yeah.
a fella that I went to school with that is marrying someone who's transitioning, and
Yeah.
he is very left. I'm the middle. Like I don't care who you love. I don't care what drugs you do. I don't care what guns you own. I just want me to be happy and I want you to leave me the fuck alone. I don't care what else you do. Uh,
Yeah.
but me and him are polar opposites on 99% of things. And it was one of the best shows I've ever had because we respected each other. We talked about those differences. We talked about things like that. And there's so many studios that they don't want you saying stuff. Like they either
Yeah.
want you to be left or right. They don't want you to be to where you actually can listen to someone who's different than you.
And you're losing the power that you have over your own vision. Like
Yeah.
right now, this is your vision. My dad said going public was like the biggest mistake he made for the company.
Really?
Yeah, because he lost his vision. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just think there's something special about that, whether it's you. Like, you wouldn't want anybody coming in telling you you got to write your book this fucking way because it's going to sell more copies. I
Mhm.
don't, this is done well to where I'm very happy with it. And the more we get people like you on, the more that we have guests that aren't scared to voice their opinion. When I first started this show, because the reasons I got fired from radio, I called it Politics, Religion, and Whiskey, the Josh Terry podcast. But working with anybody that was an artist or social media personality, the first thing they said is, I don't want to talk about politics or religion. And that wasn't why it was named that. I wanted people to come on here and feel like you can talk about any and everything.
Yeah.
Like, nobody wants to talk about politics and religion, but you know what? This world would be so much fucking better is if I was sitting across from an atheist right now and we could have a respectful conversation. If I was sitting across somebody that's extreme right or extreme left and we could have a respectful conversation.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we live in a society where people want to pit each other against each other instead of actually listening and hearing each other out. And there's no room for growth that way.
I feel like a little bit of it is like texting in the internet, where it's like if you have a conversation with someone like this, you can hear their tone of voice. It's a lot easier. But when text, you kind of assume like a shitty tone or you can't
You
hear
assume the
things.
worst every time.
Yeah. You assume the worst. Yeah, exactly. I feel like if everybody was like put in a room, like people would get along a lot better.
Uh, I believe that, but I believe it for a different reason.
Mm,
I believe that being able to text and other, just forms of leaving comments and everything, it's taught people how to not respect each other anymore. to where like
Yeah.
I definitely don't believe that violence is the answer for anything. But if me and you got into a conversation right now and it got heated and we were in front of each other, we're going to automatically think, because we're fucking animals by nature, that I need to respect this person, because if I don't, he's within arm's reach. He could slap the piss out of me right now. That makes you listen to someone. And that is something that we have lost with all these keyboard gangsters and everybody on the internet. It's like, damn, dude, like you just forgot that there's a chance that there's going to be a consequence to something that you say.
Yeah. There's going to be an escalation. There's
Yeah.
no further escalation leaving some atrocious comment. It
Yeah.
just ends. That's so interesting, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird to me. It's because the way I was raised, like, trust me, there's a lot of things that I was raised with that I should not have been raised with. I was raised by addicts. I was raised by addicts, so everything was always violence,
Yeah.
violence, violence. That solved everything with them, right? But
Yeah.
with me, like I'm so anti-violent that I'm also the first person that stands up for shit, and I always try to use my words first. But I'm not scared to go the other route if I have to. I don't ever want to be that person again. Like I was very mad and angry in my early 20s. I had
Yeah.
done a lot of shit. I was not a good person from 18 till my daughter was born when I was 23.
Yeah. A similar story for me.
And like I've been in
Yeah.
jail. I was a fuck up. Like I was not good. But I thank God every day that that's the way that I lived, because I got to see the other side of it. I got to see
Yeah.
the other side of life, to where I learned how to respect people that were drug dealers, and I learned how to respect people that were thieves and all this kind of stuff. And I know that sounds fucked up to say.
You learn to love those mistakes.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like it's just not enough people get like listening to someone that is completely different from you. I know, like me and you, if we were in a bar right now and we was having a beer, by the time we got done, like we literally would probably be really close friends because we can hear each other out. And
Yeah.
we grew up nothing. Grew up in a fucking double wide shitty trailer. You grew up in the Playboy mansion. But it's not about the things that led you to where you are today. It's about who you are tomorrow. And if you don't take every chance to grow and learn from people today, that's like a slap in the face to yourself tomorrow, that you didn't take the chance on becoming a better person by hearing this person out. And I have no respect for anybody that's like that and that's closed-minded.
Same. Yeah. I don't like haughty people or nose up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I wasn't raised that way.
Yeah, I'm not. And see, that's crazy to me. Like, you remind me of this girl that we're friends with, that in the way that her name's Alyssa Hale. We invited her to one of our Nashville shows to be on some podcasts and stuff. And if you go look at her social media, she looks like a spoiled little rich girl. She's not at all, like at all. She is beautiful. She is amazing. She is one of the kindest, sweetest, most genuine people I've ever met in life. But because of social media, the perception that you would see and have is like her nose is going to be so stuck up in the air, she's not going to be able to look at me when she talks, right?
Right.
And you don't really think that's a bad person, but you kind of like, oh, that's their upbringing. I would assume that that was the kind of the way that you would be until getting to know you. Like you
Yeah.
can obviously tell, like you are so down to earth, and so
Thanks, man.
you're an ordinary dude. It's crazy to me.
Knock on wood there.
Yeah, but I mean it as a compliment, though.
No, I know I'm joking, man.
Yeah.
Come on,
Okay.
man.
Okay.
No. Yeah. Yeah, there's no point in, I don't know. It doesn't, I feel like it can fuck somebody up if they walk around thinking they're better than everybody else. Like, I don't feel like that's a healthy person, I guess.
I'll tell you a funny story. Last time we were in Nashville, I have to go up there 1 week out of every month and record podcasts with artists and everybody else. I refuse to live up there. I want to live in my little country ass town, raise my daughter here. Like I don't want to live in a big city. So I go there 1 week out of every month. Last time we were there, I was sitting at a table with one of my best friends who's on American Idol right now, who hopefully wins. He just made it to the top 24. Shout out to my boy
Wow.
Will Mosley. But we travel everywhere together. He's like my little big brother. We're sitting there with
Yeah.
a guy who's got a #1 as a songwriter, a couple different songs. I think he's got 4 #1s actually. But there's 2 girls are sitting there with us, and they're both drunk and talking, and we're all having a good time, just bullshitting and everything. And this girl, uh, doesn't know what I do for a living. She doesn't know any of my social media or anything like that because I don't talk about it. I hang out with my
Yeah.
buddies. I don't give a fuck. Like, I have to say top 1% in the world and shit so people know that, like, hey, this isn't some dude in his basement. Like, you got to give your credentials sometimes. Like, you have
Yes.
to be taken
Yeah.
serious.
I think it's good to feel proud of yourself too. Like,
Absolutely. And
yeah.
so this girl sitting there talking with us, and we're all talking about what we do for a living, and we haven't gotten to me yet. And I asked her, I'm like, so what do you do for a living? And she's like, I'm an influencer. And I was like, what? She said, I'm an influencer. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, what makes you an influencer? And she's like, well, companies pay me to promote some of their products and all this kind of stuff and everything. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, at what
There we go.
dude, I have no idea what's going on today.
It's honestly been like really pleasant exchange. So I'm happy with the conversation, and yeah, it's been all good. I feel like a better person leaving this, to be honest. So
Well,
appreciate it.
well, I'll finish telling that story and then we'll kind of close with that because, dude, it's refreshing to talk to someone who's got a completely different upbringing and a completely different way of life than I've ever lived and know. I guess I don't know if you are, but I know that I'm cynical towards a lot of people that I just don't think there's that many good people out there anymore. And
Yeah. Yeah.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, I just automatically think everybody's a
Yes.
cunt nowadays.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
just nice to know that somebody that was completely different, brought up in a completely different way than me, is a good fucking person and a down to earth and sincere and genuine person. It's cool, dude.
Thank you, man. And the feeling's mutual. You said it
Well, cool, dude.
perfectly.
And that leads me back to the end of that story. She said she was an influencer. Because I know people, if I don't finish telling it, they're gonna fucking message me 1,000 times. But she said she was an influencer, and I asked her, I was like, "Hey, what qualifies you to be an influencer?" And she said, 1,000 people or 100,000 people on TikTok, 10, 20 on Facebook, or 10 on Facebook and 10 on Instagram. And I was like, okay, well, that's cool. Well, I'm gonna go follow you on everything. Like, and she was offended by I asked her like the definition of influencer anyway.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I went to follow her on everything. And I don't give a damn about numbers. I appreciate my numbers on everything across the board because it makes me to where I can work with somebody like you. Like, it's your credentials in some type
It's
of
a good
way.
feeling too, you know.
Yeah,
It's nice.
yeah.
It's
And when
nice. Yeah.
she saw that I had whatever 300 something thousand on TikTok, 20 on Instagram, and then on Facebook and all that kind of shit, she's like, "Oh my God, why didn't you say something?" I was like, "Oh, you're an influencer. I'm not." Like, I'm not. I said, I have a podcast. I talk for a
Fucking
living.
haymaker,
Yeah,
bro.
I was like, and like her jaw, it dropped, and it was fucking wonderful. And there's too many people that just they judge you by those numbers, and I'm more of a. There's a song that I really like by an old country artist that's dead and gone now, but we've had his son on the show. His name's Johnny Paycheck is the artist, and he's got a song called "Outlaw's Prayer." And in the song it says, "I believe a man that should be judged by what's in his heart, not his bank account." And I'm just one of those people. I don't care if I could have been talking to you, your dad, the president, a janitor, anybody in the world, an influencer, and I'm gonna fucking talk to you the same way because it's about
Yeah.
what you give out into the world. And I feel like you give out this really cool vibe anyway. And you could have your nose stuck in the air like we talked about a while ago, the way you were brought up, but you're not. You're an everyday person. And I can't tell you how much I respect that. This isn't the show that I thought I was gonna get, but this is the show that I'm glad I got because it
Yeah.
makes me be like, I could be this guy's dude. Like, we could be buddies.
Oh yeah. I feel the same way. And like I feel like you said it perfectly, but
I basically do the same thing when people give the numbers and the asterisk and how much your net worth and all that. It's just I don't care. It doesn't mean anything about who that person is. Yeah.
No. And that just speaks volumes to your mother and father.
Yeah, they killed it, man. They did a good job.
Yeah. I was almost expecting like you to be kind of traumatized or something. We do a lot of trauma bonding on this show. You're so fucking normal. Like it's so cool to me. Like I can't. I'm glad you're not fucked
Dude,
up.
we gotta get a drink. I'll get a non-alcoholic beer, but like we gotta go to a bar sometime and fucking just like shoot the shit.
You know what's crazy? And we'll end the show on this. If you read the description of our show, I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna read it word for word to you because of what you just said. Where the fuck is it at? Is it on this part? Hold on. I'm gonna read you the description of the show, and you just made me so fucking happy you saying that. Okay. This is our description that we send to sponsors and other people trying to get them part of the show. Imagine sitting at your favorite bar and meeting a complete stranger, and this that slowly becomes your best friend as y'all talk about life, debate about love, music, and this crazy world we live in. The conversation might get a little crazy, a little loud, out of hand at times, but somehow a solid point always seems to get made. The Josh Terry podcast has a little something for everybody. It's just up to you to listen and find that little piece that's for you. So pull up a chair, grab your favorite drink, and give this old boy and his guests a chance. So the fact that you said that, fuck, I'm doing my job. But I'm doing it
Yeah.
my job the way that I want to do it. And you saying that makes me so fucking happy.
Yeah. So where do you live? If I'm ever in your neck of the woods, if you're ever in Portland, give me a ring.
Okay. I live in Georgia, in South Georgia, but I am in Nashville, like I said,
Okay.
once a month recording all the time. Yeah, dude. Well, I like, you're one of those folks now I got to get together and I got to hear more about you. And
Yeah.
before we get off here too, so people can hear about you, why don't you drop your social medias and, your OnlyFans link and all that kind of shit where people that listen to the show can interact with you.
Yeah. Just type in Marston Hefner OnlyFans or probably Marston Hefner Fansly might come up. Instagram. And if you guys enjoyed this conversation, my writing is my most favorite thing in the world. So if you support that, that's how you get to my heart. So thanks a lot for listening. And I'm grateful just for this conversation. I almost feel like it's just us talking, to be honest. I kind of forgot. This is the first time that's happened to me where I kind of forgot that there's people listening.
Yeah, see, that's where like I know the best compliment that I can get is that I make you comfortable to where we can just have a conversation. And man, those are the best shows. Those are what people really want when it comes to this. And you saying that makes me feel like I'm a little bit of affirmation. Everybody needs a little bit of affirmation sometimes to let them know, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm where God wants me to be. It's hard to question the person that knows the past, the present, and the future. And when you get little affirmations like this is where you're supposed to be right now, enjoy it. And like you've made me enjoy this today, sir.
Well, likewise. Thank you, sir.
Well, cool, dude. Well, y'all check him out across all boards. It's one of my favorite shows I've done. Thank you to Mr. Hefner. Thank you to the listeners. I love each and every one of y'all. We will catch y'all later.